Far left protesters march around waving Soviet and communist flags, carrying weapons, black masks, hoods, sunglasses. They bash people over the head who dare express their First Amendment rights, and they say, bigot, 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 whatever. You get the point. Over in Hong Kong, however, they're waving American flags. They're singing the American national anthem while the police beat them down as they fight for their freedom and their independence. Now, over in America, people say Trump is bad, and they say, the one guy from Vox is saying what happened with the Ukrainian airliner is Trump's fault and the escalation and all that stuff. Meanwhile, over in Iran, incredible moment as Iranian students refuse to step on U.S. and Israeli flags amid anti-government marches as Trump warns the country's leaders not to kill its protesters. You'd think at the bare minimum, you would not kill your protesters, but no, lo and behold, these countries in the Middle East tend to kind of do that, and Iran has done that. Right now, I'm not saying it's everyone in Iran. Certainly there are people in Iran who support the regime and support Soleimani. You actually have protesters refusing to step on the American flag. It's actually, I wonder if they have there's video here. There are protesters marching. They're actually criticizing the Iranian government. They're insulting them pretty harshly. And here we can see this is American flags, and few people would actually stand on them because they didn't want to walk on the flags. I don't necessarily know what the point of the flags on the ground is for, other than, I guess, to walk on it. It's a sign of disrespect. They walk across it. Well, students actually split up and forked around it as they chanted awful things about the government. You see, before all this escalation, there were massive protests against the government of Iran, and they went around and killed a bunch of their protesters. Surprise, surprise, it's an Islamic theocracy. Now the protesters are speaking out, and there's a couple crazy things, like a British ambassador got arrested and released. Let's read this. And the main point I want to make, as I want you to consider this. While this isn't representative of everyone in Iran, I just want to point out how strange it is that in America they cheer for communism, while the people in Hong Kong cheer for America, and while in America you have people criticizing Trump. Well, meanwhile in Iran people are refusing to step on the flags. To me, that's kind of crazy. Let's read. Daily Mail reports, this is the incredible moment. Hundreds of Iranian students refuse to step on the American and Israeli flags amid anti-government marches in the country and a warning to its leaders from Donald Trump to not kill protesters. The clip taken at Shahid Beheshti University on Sunday shows crowds deliberately avoiding walking over the Stars and Stripes and the Star of David before furiously berating those that do. Ali Khamenei's regime is said to have painted the flags at the main entrance of the university for students to walk over as a sign of disrespect. In 2016, Iranian professor Sadegh Zibakalam, who has avoided walking on the flags in the past, said, "It is a sign of disrespect toward the nation. Placing the flag of a country on the ground and stepping on it is an error, a sign of disrespect toward that nation." Thousands had on Saturday gathered in front of the gate of the Amir Kabir University of Technology near the former U.S. Embassy in Tehran to protest the government and Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei for mistakenly downing a civilian passenger plane. President Trump issued a stark warning to the leaders of Iran Sunday, tweeting, "To the leaders of Iran, do not kill your protesters. Thousands have already been killed or imprisoned by you, and the world is watching." Trump is absolutely right, especially after they downed that commercial airliner. More importantly, the USA is watching. Turn your back on and let reporters roam free. Stop the killing of your great people. Your great Iranian people. Now, I gotta say, it is a strange and weird world. Brian Stelter of CNN ran a segment, and he tweeted out, "Trump is right. They need to respect their journalists." And I saw that, and I said, "Hear, hear, Brian, absolutely." I don't think CNN is the absolute worst. I just think they're generally bad. And I think Brian's got his political bent, and I think he's chasing after the ratings. But I give it to him when you praise people when they do the right thing. Trump is right. It's simple. Don't kill your protesters. Let journalists do their jobs. Anybody who disagrees with that anyone who disagrees is nuts. Donald Trump tweeted out in Farsi. I'm not sure if it was that tweet, but it is the most liked Farsi tweet in the history of social media. So certainly right now we've got some unity forming, where I think everyone in America can agree, let the protesters do their thing. Certainly, however, there are a lot of people who are going to criticize these protesters and say, oh, it's fake, it's astroturfing. They're going to claim the only reason CNN and Trump are aligned on this one is because it's the war machine. Listen, man, Iran shot down a commercial plane, and they admitted it. They absolutely admitted it, okay? So I think it's about time we stopped playing games. And I'll throw some shade towards Tulsi, as much as I'm a big fan. She was on, I think it was Fox News, and she was asked several times, and she would not say it was Iran's fault. I get it. She's got to cater to the Democrats, but I think you need to say it. It is Iran's fault. Okay, listen. I am one of the fiercest critics of America in the Middle East. I think we need to get out. I can say it 50 million times, and I have been critical to a decent extent of Trump's escalation in these areas. While I understand why he wanted to take out Soleimani, why other people in government did, why he's been sanctioned and targeted before, but they never actually did anything about it. I just think it's going to keep leading to escalation. So while I don't want to defend, Soleimani for who he is or anything like that, I want to criticize the actions of escalation, right? That's fine. But I have to stress, we're operating in Iraq. Iran is crossing that border. They're sending their general into Iraq. They're sending missiles into Iraq, and then they blow up a plane in their own territory. I'm sorry, you can't compare that. That is Iran's fault. So my hat goes off figuratively to the protesters for refusing to defile or disrespect symbols of the American and Israeli flags. And this actually gives me a lot of hope for the future, because I'll tell you this, man. Nobody wants war, right? We say that. The reality is there are some people who do. The big, international weapons manufacturers, and there are a lot of zealots in Iran who do want war. But these people don't. And when I see this, I see a group of people that we can stand side by side with and say, we don't need to fight. We'll sort this out some other way. Instead, what have we gotten? Okay? And I don't blame these people. I respect them. But Iran has targeted, the tankers in the Gulf. They've targeted Saudi oil fields. They have worked with these militias. They are a disruptive force. Everyone knows it. You can contest what happened in the Gulf. Some people were claiming the U.S. is staging and all this other stuff. No, I don't want to play those games, man. Okay? It is a fact that Iran has been doing this. Yes, the U.S. is a belligerent in the conflict. Okay? It's not like we're innocent, right? But to act like Iran isn't a part of this game is ridiculous. We're going to move on. We will read more, look at some more of these photos. But I want to say something that I find really interesting. There is a conspiracy theory floating around that I have heard from a few people that Iran targeted the plane on purpose. Now, get this. They claimed the plane took a sharp turn towards a military base. It's not true. It didn't. It's entirely possible someone just accidentally did it and they're trying to provide an excuse. But there's a conspiracy theory that one of the Iranians on that plane was a spy working with NATO and Western powers. And so they knew it and they said, take him out. Now it's a conspiracy theory, but it is a rumor circulating among, I wouldn't say among your typical conspiracy crowd. This is circulating among, I don't want to say journalists necessarily, but some researchers. I'll put it that way. I heard it from a friend of mine, but I've heard it from some other people. They think that it was deliberate, that they had a target on that plane. I don't know. None of that matters, though. Don't speculate. I'm just letting you know because I thought it was an interesting idea. But I think it's important to say, for now, what's been admitted and what we know is that all that matters is they took out a commercial airliner. They say, Trump had earlier sent a message of support to the people of Iran on Saturday, saying, "We are inspired by your courage as thousands of angry demonstrators protested the regime in the streets of Tehran. To the brave, long-suffered people of Iran, I've stood with you since the beginning of my presidency, and my administration will continue to stand with you. We are following your protests closely and are inspired by your courage," Trump tweeted in English and Farsi. That was the tweet that was like the most Farsi tweet in history. You know what, man? If Trump brings us to war with Iran, I believe he will be the worst president we've had in a really, really long time. If Trump brings us to peace with Iran, he may be one of the greatest presidents we've had in a very, very long time. And it really does hinge on peace in the Middle East. And I think right now, I am extremely hopeful we might actually see that peace. After Iran screwed up this badly, there is a shock to the global system. Nobody wants war, okay? Like these countries, there are companies and crazy people who want it. I get it. But for the most part, nobody wants it. And if the international community is now forced to recognize what Iran has been doing and force them to back down, and it opens the door for protesters like this who refuse to defile or disrespect the American and Israeli flags, that's profoundly meaningful. That means Americans can meet side by side with many of these people and say, what can we do to make things better for everybody and stop the conflict, stop the militias, stop the attacks, stop the war. This gives me hope. But I will say, we saw all of those people cheering for Soleimani at his funeral. And a lot of people say, oh, it's fake, it's staged. No, stop. Zealots are real, man. There are zealots in these countries. They are real. They exist. It doesn't mean all 90 million people in this country feel that way. Clearly they don't. But there are a lot of people in that country who are very nationalistic, pro-Iran, and hate us and consider themselves martyrs. But if these are the voices that can be elevated, then it's good news for the people of both countries. You know the war machine wants war. The average people don't want war. When the war machine starts war, you rile up people on both sides. And so I want to say to these people, who would say respect the flags of these other countries, I absolutely respect what you've done. I'll respect your flag, and I hope that there is a path towards peace in our futures. And I hope to one day normalized relations where we can send Coca-Cola and McDonald's and we can bring, Iranian goods and products and the sanctions, and everybody can get along and we can celebrate. I know people who are both Iranian and American, and it's crazy to me that these people exist. They have ties to both countries, and I hope that in the future, communications technology and culture brings us to a place of just world peace. So I'll leave it there. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.